I didn't grow up in church. So when I first opened Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest," I thought I had it figured out. Rest. Peace. A soft pillow for a tired soul. I imagined Jesus like a bench on a long hike. You sit, you breathe, you keep going. But after 30 days of reading nothing but the Bible, no YouTube sermons, no podcasts, no commentaries, just me, a notebook, and these pages, that verse didn't just confuse me, it broke me. Not because it's complicated. The words are simple enough for a child to memorize. What broke me was the realization that I'd been reading it completely backwards for over a decade. Stay with me, because what I found on day 22, sitting in my kitchen with cold coffee and tired eyes, changed how I see every hard thing in my life. And I think it might change how you see yours too. Here's what I assume Jesus was saying. You're tired? Great. Come sit down. I'll handle everything. And listen, there's truth in that. God is our refuge, our strength, a very present help in trouble. I believe that with my whole heart. But after 30 days of just reading, not studying, not analyzing, just reading, I noticed something strange, something I'd skipped over for years. Every single person Jesus actually said those words to in the Gospels. He then immediately gave them something heavy to carry. A paralyzed friend to carry on a mat. A crowd of 5,000 hungry people. A cross that would crush a normal man. That's the part I missed. So here's my question, and I'm asking myself as much as you. Am I following Jesus for the rest he promises, or for the person he's asking me to become? Because those are two very different paths, and only one of them leads to the kind of peace that doesn't disappear when Monday morning comes. Let me take you back to the original language for a moment. I'm not a Greek scholar. I just know how to use a concordance, and I'm not afraid to look foolish. The word Jesus uses for weary in Matthew 11:28 is kopiao. It means exhausted from labor, not just tired, the kind of tired where your bones feel heavy and your thoughts feel slow. The word for burdened is fortizo. It means loaded down, like a donkey carrying too much weight, stumbling under the load. Jesus is not talking to people who had a rough week at work. He's talking to people who are done, who have nothing left, who've been carrying things they were never meant to carry alone. And then he says, I will give you rest. The Greek word there is anapouo. It doesn't mean take a nap. It means to pause, to refresh, to stop struggling, not to stop walking. Do you feel the difference? One is escape. The other is refueling. Jesus isn't promising a hammock. He's promising a pit stop. You get water. You get a new tire. And then you get back on the road. But this time, he's driving. Let me read you the verse the right way. The way I finally heard it on day 22, sitting in my kitchen, coffee cold, no idea what I was even looking for anymore. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. A yoke. That's the word I missed for years. I always pictured a yoke as a heavy wooden beam across a single animal's shoulders. Something you add to a burden, not something that helps. But here's what I learned on day 23, when I finally got curious enough to look it up. A yoke in 1st century Galilee wasn't a punishment. It was a tool for partnership. It connected two animals so they could pull together. The stronger animal matched the pace of the weaker one. The weight was distributed. The load became shared. Jesus isn't saying, stop working. He's saying, stop pulling alone. That changes everything, doesn't it?
The rest he offers isn't escape from labor, it's the relief of shared weight. You still have to walk, you still have to pull, but now he's in the yoke next to you, matching your pace, absorbing the heaviest part, guiding the direction so you don't veer off the path. Peter, who couldn't even stay awake to pray, got the keys to a movement that would change the world. Paul, who murdered Christians, got a prison cell with a worship service inside. None of them got lighter loads. They got different loads, loads that mattered, loads that had purpose, and somehow, mysteriously, that made the weight feel lighter. I want to get personal for a minute, because I think this is where the Bible stops being theory and starts being surgery. A few years ago, I was carrying something I never told anyone about. I don't even know if I can say it out loud in a video, but I'll try. I was angry at God, not the loud shout at the sky kind of angry, the quiet kind, the kind where you stop praying because you're afraid of what you'll say, the kind where you open the Bible and feel nothing. I thought that meant my faith was fake. I thought that meant I was out. But here's what I realized during those 30 days of reading, when I finally stopped performing and started being honest. The yoke was already there. I just refused to pull. I wanted Jesus to carry everything. My anger, my doubt, my exhaustion, my secret shame. I wanted to sit in the passenger seat while he drove, but that's not a yoke. That's a taxi. And the more I asked him to just take everything, the heavier I felt. It wasn't until I said out loud in my empty kitchen, feeling ridiculous, "Fine, I don't understand, I don't feel you, but I'll keep walking. Just stay close," that something shifted. The weight didn't disappear, but the panic did. Because I finally stopped trying to escape the yoke and started learning how to pull with someone instead of for someone. I don't know what you're carrying right now. Maybe it's a marriage that's falling apart. Maybe it's a diagnosis you can't say out loud. Maybe it's just this low-grade exhaustion that never goes away. Here's what I want you to hear. Jesus never promised to remove it. He promised to share it. And that promise, that one small shift in how I read Matthew 11, broke me open in the best possible way. So what broke me? This. I spent years asking God to remove my burdens, my anxiety, my financial stress, my broken relationships, my secret shame. I thought faith was a rescue mission. God swoops in, fixes everything, and I get to live happily ever after. But after 30 days of honest reading, not religious reading, not dutiful reading, but honest reading, I started asking something different, something that scared me at first. What if this weight is exactly why I'm still here? I'm not saying God causes pain. I'm not that theologically brave or that theologically reckless. I've read Job. I've read Lamentations. I know that some suffering has no tidy explanation, but I am saying this. And I've tested it against every page of the New Testament. Every single person who met Jesus face to face walked away with more responsibility, not less. The woman at the well went back to her village, the same village that had gossiped about her, and told everyone about a man who knew her whole story, not because she had to, because she couldn't not. Peter, who denied Jesus 3 times and went back to fishing, was told to feed Jesus' sheep, not because Peter was ready, because the weight of loving people is the work. Paul, who had every reason to be bitter, wrote half the New Testament from a prison cell, not despite the chains. Through them, the rest Jesus gives isn't a nap. It's not a vacation. It's new legs. Here's a hard question I had to ask myself, and I'm asking you now, gently, because I care more about your actual life than your comment. What burden are you begging God to take that He's actually trying to walk with you through? Because maybe, just maybe, the heaviness you feel right now isn't a sign you're lost. Maybe it's proof you're still in the yoke, still moving, still breathing, still here, and that matters more than you know. There's a phrase in verse 30 that used to bother me. Maybe it bothers you too. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Easy, light. If you've been through real suffering, the kind that makes you question whether God exists or just doesn't care, those words can feel like a lie. Or worse, like gaslighting. I wrestled with this for days during my 30-day read because I couldn't reconcile Jesus' promise with the actual pain I'd seen in my own life and in the lives of people I love. Here's what I finally landed on, and I'm still holding it loosely because I'm still learning. The Greek word for easy is krestos. It doesn't mean effortless, it means well-fitting, like a yoke that's been custom carved for your shoulders. It still has weight, but it doesn't chafe. It doesn't cut. It's designed for you. And the word for light is elephros. It doesn't mean weightless. It means bearable because it's shared. Put together, Jesus is saying, the burden I give you will never be heavier than what we can carry together, and I've shaped it specifically for your shoulders. That doesn't remove suffering, but it does remove meaninglessness. The worst part of pain isn't the pain itself. It's the feeling that the pain is pointless, random, unseen. Jesus is promising the opposite. Your burden has a shape. Your weariness has a purpose. And nothing you're carrying right now is invisible to the one in the yoke next to you. I don't know about you, but that changes how I face tomorrow morning. Not because my problems disappear, but because my isolation does. So what do we do with all of this? Because a longer video doesn't help anyone if you walk away feeling the same as when you clicked. Here's what I'm actually doing tonight, and I'm telling you so I'm accountable, not because I'm perfect at it. I'm going to sit down with a piece of paper, not my phone, not my laptop, and I'm going to write one sentence, just one. The weight I'm carrying that I've never honestly asked Jesus to share with me is... Then I'm going to finish the sentence, honestly, even if it's embarrassing, even if it's doubt, even if it's anger, even if it's small, because I've realized something. I can't share a yoke with someone I'm not being honest with. And for years, maybe you too, I've been praying at Jesus instead of talking to Jesus, performing instead of confessing, asking for help without admitting what I actually need help with. So tonight, I'm writing one honest sentence. Then I'm going to sit in silence for 3 minutes. That's it. No music, no phone, just silence. Because the yoke isn't just about talking. It's about being with someone who already knows everything I'm about to write. If you want to try that with me, not for a comment, not for a view, but for 5 minutes of real honesty, pause this video right now. Write your sentence, then sit in silence for 3 minutes. Then come back and just type one word in the comments. Done. Not for me, for you. So you have a timestamp of the moment you stopped scrolling and started being honest. That moment matters more than any algorithm, any view count, any dollar from YouTube. That moment is the yoke. I'm not a pastor. I've never been to seminary. I don't have letters after my name. But after 30 days of reading, just reading, no performing, I have one thing I know is true. The Bible reads you as much as you read it. And if you made it this far into a long video from a stranger on the internet, maybe that's because something in you is tired of pretending everything is fine. You don't have to comment. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to do anything except sit in the silence for 3 minutes and let the one in the yoke next to you just be there. That's not escape. That's rest. And rest, I've learned, is where the real work begins. Thanks for being here. Seriously, I don't know your name, but I'm honored you spent this time with me.